Hey guys, I'm Lego Rob and welcome back to the channel. So in this week's video we'll be cracking open the Space Shuttle Discovery that got recently released. So once again, it's part of the 18 Plus collection and it is set number 10283 and it contains 2,354 pieces. I really do like the design of this box, as I do most of the 18 Plus sets. They are more targeted at the AFOLs rather than kids, hence why it's just mainly the build on the front with a black background. Nothing too flashy, nothing too fancy, which kind of appeals more to the adults rather than kids. And now, spinning the box around, we'll have a look at the back of it. So on the back of the box, we see the space shuttle with its loading dock open and the Hubble telescope being removed. Also, on the top of the box, we get the dimensions of the set, and they are 34 centimeters or 13.5 inches wide and 54 centimeters or 12 inches long. So overall, it's quite a big and hefty set, which will make a great display piece. On the bottom of the box, we get a few pictures of the actual model that you get, not only of the space shuttle, but also the Hubble telescope. We also get a bit of a diagram of how the fins work, as well as the cockpit and how it can be removed. So now I'll crack it open, do a time lapse of me building it, and then we'll have a look at it once it's assembled. So I finally finished the beast. It took me about 6 hours all up. I tend to do my builds in over several days, as I usually come home from work quite late and I'm really tired, so I don't have too much energy for concentrating for long periods of time. So I do like, an hour here, an hour and a half, 2 hours there. So it took me about 4 nights to complete this whole thing. Overall, very happy with it. It's essentially, if you look at it, it's essentially 2 builds. You get the Hubble telescope with its own little plaque and display stand, and you obviously get the space shuttle with its plaque and display stand. And yes, you do have that also option of combining them together and displaying as one massive set with a Hubble telescope actually sticking out of the space shuttle, which I do have to say looks awesome, and that is my preferred way of displaying it. So now, first things first, let's get the Hubble telescope out the way. And we'll have a quick squiz at the space shuttle itself. I'm a huge fan of this model, especially the fact that it's got minimal studs on it. I know Lego is a stud kind of product where it's made out of studs, so they want to see studs here and there. But I guarantee if they really wanted to, all these parts that have studs on them could potentially be made as flat tiles. Therefore this whole model would have been a studless, seamless design. But obviously, Lego being Lego, it does have to have a bit of studs here and there just to show off. Then people recognize it automatically. Wow, that's a Lego build and not a plastic build of some other sort. So yeah, there is that. And so now I'll take you around the space shuttle and show you a few of the features. The main one being here is the back of it with the thrusters. There's 3 of them, and the top one actually moves. And if you do move it, you can see the flaps or the elevons move, which is quite cool. That's a bit of a play feature there. And also you have a bit of a tail speed brake here, which just sort of opens and closes as the space shuttle comes down for descent, that sort of thing. And now popping him off the stand, has a bit of a tail flap right there, which sort of moves up and down, but this is also where the landing gear comes out of. If you push it quite firmly, the landing gear deploys. And obviously you can only do that once and then push the landing gear in manually, as this Space Shuttle Discovery was essentially a glider, so they basically could only deploy the landing gear once, so it is true to what the actual Space Shuttle Discovery was. Now popping in. And obviously that is the option of also displaying it just on its landing gear on its own, which also does look quite cool. I do actually like it like that, and obviously you can roll it and that sort of thing. And now, going further inside, we get the kind of cockpit area, and that sort of comes off like a little modular part. And inside, we get the 4 astronaut chairs and a bit of instrument panels there, with a new kind of printed window shield, which is a new part for Lego. Haven't seen these before. So that's quite cool. I think they'll be used quite frequently in later builds down the track. And also we get another astronaut chair and a few more instruments there. And there's the mid deck, and that is where the astronauts would go down to get changed in order to go into the loading bay. And speaking of the loading bay, this is the most infuriating part of this build. And as I'm pretty sure you already know what that is, it is all that bling on the inside. Oh boy. If only these were printed. But unfortunately they are not, and they are stickers, and they are applied to curved pieces. And oh boy, are they painful to apply. Literally, I was going to lose my mind applying it. As you can probably see, there are a few which have actually destroyed corners, because I got a few of them crooked, which I had to repeel. And once they go on, they are a pain in the butt to remove, so you do damage them. So when you're applying them, do apply them at the start of the build when your mind is fresh and you're wide awake, because later on down the track, if you do it, you know, where the instruction manual tells you to, you're going to be tired and you're going to make mistakes, and that's the last thing you want to do, is to have those finishing touches all ruined and scratched up and peeling. But obviously Lego do supply replacement for these, but yeah, that is a cost as well to you, extra cost to you. But now moving on to the inside of the actual loading bay, it's quite cool in there. Obviously it's very empty in there, because obviously your Hubble telescope is supposed to sit in there, but there's a bit of details. You get a couple cameras here and there. You also get the kind of a satellite dish where they communicate with it. And also you got the giant boom arm, which actually is used to deploy the space shuttle out into space. So it actually lifts it up. Now also, moving also to the back of it where the engines are, you can also kind of see the engines kind of open up here and there, which opens up that kind of mechanism there. When you sort of twist that kind of exhaust, you can see that whole mechanism working in it. So that is also quite a cool little feature, and we actually see the whole workings of it. So yeah, that's basically the overview of the space shuttle. Huge fan of it, displays really nicely and that sort of thing. And now moving on to the Hubble telescope itself, we'll just pop him aside for now. And obviously the Hubble telescope, also quite a cool little build, made up of tiny silver tiles. So I'm sure this set will have a huge part up value, because Lego don't tend to make a lot of these silver polished pieces. So that is quite cool. And also obviously this comes off the stand itself as well. And then you can see the solar panels there, which are little actual foils. So it is a little bit flimsy around in that area. But you also get the old lens of the Hubble telescope with a lens hood, if you want to call it that. And obviously, if you know the history of the Hubble telescope, the first time they sent it out, the lens was actually damaged or not working very well, so the photos were coming out blurry. So they had to resend astronauts back into space to replace that lens, which was a very, very costly exercise to do so. Now, Also, I do like the little part usage of the little hoses and the round tile there to work as thrusters, which is quite cool. And you also get a few kind of satellite dishes as well for sending the images back down into Earth. And also you get the NASA printed tile there as well, so that's awesome as well. And moving on to the back, you get a bit of a hatch opening door kind of thing. Not really sure if the Hubble telescope did actually have a hatch where you actually entered, but I'm guessing you'd have to, because I don't think you can sort of change the lens and work on it if you can't actually enter it. So that is quite cool. Nice little touches of detail here and there. Obviously nothing too overly complicated, but as a whole set kind of thing, it does look quite elaborate and displays really nicely. And obviously most people will choose to either display this thing on both the stands, but some people will also want to display it like I do, which is popping out of the space shuttle. And so I'll just show you quickly how that's performed. Sort of at the end of the instructions of building this thing, you get instructions to build this little stand, and you basically convert this thing. So basically, it's very easy. Basically remove the solar panels and you replace it with these kinds of tiny rods, which are supposed to represent the rolled up solar panels instead of the deployed ones, and just basically pop those on like so. And then you have two little Technic pieces where you insert these tiny little claw parts into it like so, which is quite quick. And then also flipping them over, this little section that pops out like so. And that is where the stand pops in. And then obviously you just slide him in there, and he just clips on to there, and you get your little boom arm, and the boom arm sort of clips onto the little handle piece right there, and does look quite impressive, quite big, quite an awesome display piece. I keep this on top of my piano, and it does look fantastic. People that come over are drawn to it straight away, more than the piano itself. And obviously I do display it on the stand just to elevate it a little bit, and it looks absolutely awesome. Super happy with this set. I do hope Lego make more and more of these kind of sets. The more adult stuff I get, the happier I am, because obviously me being an adult, I tend to enjoy the more adulty things. Obviously a really cool set to display as a whole. Love the fact that it's got minimal studs. I know a few people have commented where they're not really happy with the front of it, with the nose kind of area. But overall, I don't think it's that bad. It's a little bit convoluted, if that's the right word for it. It's just got weird angles and things like that. Could have made it a little bit smoother, potentially, not sure. But yeah, overall it does look quite cool. I don't think as of now you could potentially improve it, unless they come up with extra pieces where it could sort of smooth out these kind of areas a little bit more. But overall, great set. Hope Lego keep making more of these kinds of things. And if they keep making them, I'm certainly going to keep buying them. So that's my quick overview of the Space Shuttle Discovery. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, please consider subscribing, leave a comment below, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!